live from the truck. Let's see here, we can get like that, or, ooh, that's kind of cool, huh? Shit, I might leave it like that. Okay, for what it's worth. Anyway, so no one will show up. We'll watch it later. Hey Tim, it's philosophy time. Watch out. Today's story is a light green parachute atoms versus dark green parachute atoms. Just kidding. That would be much better. Okay, so disengaging from linear mindset is the whole thing here. So, hey Gail, hey Luce. Disengaging from linear mindset. Philosophy development is an interest of mine, and I think of importance to our species. So, and so, easy disengaging from linear mindset to start off. No right and wrong. No right and wrong. I say what I say, and I say it the way I say it, but it's, not everything's going to fit for everybody, right? That's, again, disengaging from linear mindset or colonialism, right? There's no one way. There's not, I do something this way, and it's perfect for me, but it might be exactly opposite of what you do and what works for you, but you're still right as well, okay? So I'm just putting things out here, and that's my intention. Even though I might sound like I think I'm right, I know that I'm only right as far as that goes for me in my world. There's no like one big right. Okay, so I wanted to do that, and I've been thinking about, thought about something the other day that came up, and then something today kind of parallels that. And so natural flow, talking about natural flow and the hollow bones, and we versus they. And so first of all, I made a post about that. We're not the light. That people aren't the light. We can only allow basically the light to flow through us. And in my post, I said, and provide light for someone's path, but only for a moment. And some people were like, "Oh, well, I think we're the light, and people are the light." And so I wanted to, and again, we're using English words, okay? So it's like, you can go like, well, you say tomato, I say tomato, same thing. Yeah, and Gail just chimed in saying the same thing. So let's just take out the tomato thing if we're talking about the same thing or mean the same thing. But I thought it would be a good thing to talk about anyway, and for a good discussion, and it goes back to the disengaging from linear mindset, non-linear thinking, cyclical thinking, non-colonial thinking. But so the thing is that, it's the energy, right? And this is like the hollow bones that Black Elk speaks about. We open ourselves up so we can feel everything. And in a natural setting, we'd feel for, animals, predators, this kind of thing. And that natural feeling, we can develop that natural feeling so we can feel our way, quote unquote, or our path, our universal way. And so that's key for people, is to develop those instincts so we're in touch with, despite the, nickels and dimes and the math says here and the logic says this here. Yes, we need to use that too, but also we need to go by heart and feel, what is our way, which way should we go? And so taking all those factors into consideration. So, Black Elk talks about us being hollow bones, and through, so the big energy can go through us. And what I was saying is that people don't hold the light, but they can let the light go through and maybe direct a little bit to help others. So and what got me thinking about that is not to look for other people in that way, in that I'm going to use a term that I don't like, but in that, like, higher, well, maybe I don't have to use the term, in that, in that higher, it's like, wow, this person's really smarter than me, or this person's a guru, or this person's a spiritual leader, or something like this. And a common Taoist saying is that, the teacher points to the moon, but the student only sees the master's finger. So it's like, to understand, to help us understand a little bit more what's going on, is that, we want to let this light flow through, and we want to develop our understanding of things so we can help each other in different ways. And so that was kind of my thinking there, is to point out that, really my thinking was to point out that, people don't, hold anything, and we don't hold anything, and we don't want to hold anything. Holding thing, and like, we don't own, and we could say we don't own ourselves, right? We don't own the earth, we belong to the earth. And, these are the kind of things that help people live better lives, and better by able to contribute more, having a more sound mental, spiritual, emotional, physical development, understanding all those, understanding natural flow, cyclical thinking, non-dualistic thinking, non-colonialist thinking, non-linear thinking, and to be able to embrace everything's happening at once without that being a confusing issue, or to be able to embrace, we're the light, and let the light flow through us. What the hell is that? It's like, to understand what we're doing, we're eliminating mental roadblocks. And a lot of those mental roadblocks are simply behind English words too, right? And so we take a lot of lessons from our ancestors. I say our, being human, which I do classify as, believe it or not. Our ancestors say, oh shit, I was trying to be funny and I forgot. I'll probably think about it. I could think about it a little bit more and get back there. But I was talking about, like, how Black Elk says, be hollow bones and that kind of thing. Dang, I forgot what I was going to say. First time I totally forgot what I was going to say live, because I was trying to be funny, of course, and serious. Well, we were talking about natural flow and non-colonial thinking. Anyways, I'll just go back to that vein on the natural flow and words. Oh, no, I know what it is. Okay, white buffalo calf does not speak English language. That's what I was trying to get back to. When we're talking about words, and a lot of our mental roadblocks are just because we're used to thinking in English and hearing English words, so we relate thoughts to English words instead of having thoughts and realizing what words we can use to explain them. So think about that fine difference for a little bit. So words can be important, especially if we're talking about spiritual things, natural things, and that before there was a word, there was a thought. There had to be a huge thought or thought process, or there was an object long before the English word was ever assigned to it. So keeping things separate too, and understanding where things are. It's like, oh well, that's this. If we say that's God or Creator or Buddha or Wakantanka or something like that, understand those are still words. Those still English words, and we have to understand their limitations. We can't use, like, using English words to define something that by implication means the undefinable. So, this frees up our minds. This gets us unstuck from linear process, from linear thought process. This is decolonizing, disengaging from linear mindset. So now I'll get back to talking about flow. The conversation was talking, and it's like, well, we or they, and this person was saying we, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, don't stick me in there. I said, to me, that's they, And he said, well, we're all here. It's like, yeah, okay, that's true too. But at the same time, I clearly differentiate between my mindset, my way of thinking, between other people, right? So again, using words, and then I think for me that's a good way, and I'm clearly, differentiate between, how I am and how, they are, or anything that we have this differentiation, but we also have this unity. And so if I said, well, they realize the differentiation, but they don't realize the unity. Okay. So that's a linear mindset. So they see differentiation. They don't see everything. They don't see the big picture. They don't see Takeo, you see, right? They don't see that we're all connected. And then maybe some people have a hard time differentiating between they and we. Maybe some people only see that we're all here together and don't differentiate. But I think there's a place to differentiate, because that allows us to be more efficient in our energy output, right? So, like, I couldn't just have this conversation with anyone, especially anyone in the they crowd. Maybe I'd have to start with something else. Maybe I'd have to say, maybe I'd have to start with business, a common denominator, and maybe I'd have to talk about that as trade, and grow this conversation a little bit more before we could start talking about hollow bones, So, and maybe they don't need to know hollow bones. Maybe they just need to know business as trade, as the personal development aspects. Everyone doesn't need to be at the same place, the same level. So, anyway, that was most of it. Oh no, that wasn't most of it. That was most of it. The other thing about the we and the we and the they is, actually maybe the main point is that the flow of the conversation dictated on whether we're we or they, right? And I wanted to identify that and to not get stuck in that linear mindset of having to be one thing, of having to, I'm we, or I'm they, or I'm Democrat or Republican, or I'm Buddhist or atheist or whatever, and to not get stuck there. That whole thing, all that stuff, linear mindset, and connected to those English words. Again, doesn't speak that, And my friend, I'll say Ruben Fausthorst, said maybe she didn't speak Lakota either. She just energy, the universal language of just energy exchange, right? That can happen for anything. So that's that bottom line, and then there's whatever language, and then English in there somewhere. So I wanted to recognize that we and they, and it's like, okay, so now I'm including everybody in we, all the people, and all the birds and the ants and the rocks and the trees and all that. Well, if I say they, and usually it's like I'm pissed at they, that don't see the we, they only see the differentiation. So I wanted to address that in the flow and the natural energy flow from a natural conversation, right? Go from in a natural conversation. And something else, I'll drop another name. I was reading an article about Kelly Looking Horse, and he says he does not engage in lineal discourse. So, and some people, it's like we just basically talk about what we want, how we want, in a natural process, and a lot of if you talk to typically like a sage or elder or something like that, it's like they'll just come up to you and start talking about what they think they should talk about. I remember one time that I was somewhere amazing, and this old guy motions to me, and I was picking up garbage, and I'm like, who, me? Maybe let's just say I was, not an outsider. And this guy says, he says, I married a German woman. I've got lots of multicolored friends, and I can speak 3 languages, and this and this and this and this and this, and he just drew all those parallels, and then it was like, oh, and then that was it, and he's like, okay, it's like he just nodded his head, and it's like, okay. He's like, he talked for like 10 minutes. I didn't say anything, other than thank you when I introduced myself, and he told me his name, and he just told me the story, and then it's like, okay, bye. You ever have that? You ever have someone just like start talking to you about something that's like, yeah, that's like they knew what you wanted to hear or what you needed to hear, and it's like they're just someone walking by. Yeah, letting it flow, and that's so it's like that's why I'm like, oh man, I got all this stuff going on. So I pulled over in the truck. I'm like, okay, so this is happening now. So I got to pull over in the truck, and I'm thinking that, okay, well, this is happening now. That energy's out, and other people that are connected to that, need to hear this. So it's not about yeah, the lighting sucks, my makeup's bad, all that kind of thing, but it's about being connected to that. It's like, wow, this is happening now. This needs to be talked about now. It doesn't need to be, commoditized or processed or anything like that. Not saying that I won't sometime do some more, more choreographed talks. But yeah, okay, Gail, catch you later. Yeah, you do need to talk. If we have a business call, get your phone charged. Okay, talk to y'all. So anyway, I'm going to wind it up anyhow. Yeah, hollow bones, natural flow of conversation. We're all connected. If we're talking about they, we need to get some we's in there. If we're talking about, we, don't make any jokes about piggies and all the way home and all that kind of stuff. That's horrible. We need to differentiate, well, what if it's all we need to differentiate to take parts that can be, okay, well, if this certain segment is doing this, what can we do to help that certain segment? What can we do to help they see we? Okay? What can we, as a cyclical thinking, nonlinear mindset people do to help the people caught in dualistic delusions, colonial false narratives, that kind of thing? What can we do to help wake them up so that they are we, right? And then that's another classic one. The only true way to defeat an enemy is to make him your friend. So that's kind of a big picture to swallow. And not everybody's going to be able to be able to deal with all the enemies, but that's all right. We all don't need to be in that space. There's some people that we might not be able to deal with, but maybe you can deal with them. There's some people I can't deal with. Maybe you can deal with them. There's some people that whatever. But to be cyclical and to be instinctual and to let those things play out and to recognize the people that we can and can't work with, and the things that we can and can't deal with, and the things that help us and the things that don't help us. So, okay, I'm gonna wind that up. Hope everyone's having a good night. See you later.